Well, now to an update on Oregon's public defense crisis. In April, Governor Tina Kotek abruptly replaced the director of the Oregon Public Defense Commission, saying that the rising number of unrepresented defendants in the state, now around 3,700 people, was, quote, unacceptable. When she installed her new pick to lead the agency, Ken Sanchagrin, she left him with a list of expectations. First and foremost, that he deliver a clear timeline by June 1st for when the unrepresented crisis will end. Well, last week, Director Sanchagrin did deliver a 12-month plan, basically laying out what he intends to do over the next year to clean up the mess. A lot of his document walks through where things stand right now. Now, this graph here shows that more and more defendants are still being released from custody because they have no legal representation. It's around 3,500 people. Now, you can see in January of 2023, that number was well below 1,000. Okay, but this graph really paints the picture. This is the trend for only Multnomah and Washington counties, which are the two most populated counties in the state. In just the last year, the two counties have gone from well under 1,000 people being released due to no lawyer to nearly 2,000. And take a look. Here's a look at the other so-called crisis counties in Oregon over the past year. You can see things were bad last fall, but have been improving ever since. So, what does the new director plan to do about it? Well, a number of things, some of which were in motion before he took over at the Public Defense Commission, or OPDC. He'll be pushing for special resolution dockets. That's when a public defender, a prosecutor, and a judge, they get together in a courtroom and focus on working through cases of a certain type, usually ones that can be resolved early. Now, those dockets require a certain amount of trust and cooperation between all parties involved. And in some counties, they've been a non-starter. Well, Sanchagrin wants them to happen more often. He also wants to allow public defenders to take more cases than the current maximum caseload allows for attorneys who say they have more bandwidth to do so. And Sanchagrin also said his office will be more strict in enforcing the terms of contracts with public defense firms, making sure the attorneys at those firms are each taking enough cases. But on the flip side, his office will allow first-year public defense attorneys to take fewer cases, which is a big deal. A lot of public defenders we've talked to say that as more experienced attorneys leave, the firms have to hire brand new attorneys who are less experienced, and they're expected to carry the workload of someone much more experienced, which, as you might imagine, not ideal. But it seems so far that most of the groups involved with this public defense crisis are cautiously optimistic about Sanchagrin's plan. The Oregon District Attorneys Association put out a statement calling it a good start. This outline represents the most comprehensive, data-driven set of proposed solutions we've seen to date and incorporates many of the concepts Oregon's prosecutors have suggested since these problems emerged. And public defenders are largely in favor so far, too. We spoke with Stacy Lowe, director of a nonprofit public defense firm in Coos County and president of the group Public Defenders of Oregon.
I'm optimistic. I think that what he's presented thus far makes sense. I think that he's right. It's going to take a village, right? It's going to take all of the partners to work together to solve this problem. It took years for us to get here. It's not an overnight fix.
Another big aspect of the plan is to create more of a pipeline from law schools into Oregon's public defense firms, having students learn the ropes while they're still working to pass the bar. Then, when they graduate, they'll have a job waiting for them. This practice isn't entirely new, but they are working to get groups of students joining the same firm together in so-called cohorts.
As I said, this work is incredibly difficult. We are exposed to a lot of secondary trauma. And as you are coming directly out of law school and you're dealing with this as a new way of life, it really is quite helpful to be experiencing this for the first time with others who are doing the same. And so we get a much higher success rate of people being able to pass through that successfully and stick with public defense when they can do it with somebody else rather than just be the lone new attorney in a group of experienced attorneys doing the work.
So this new plan seems to offer a promising path forward. But you may have noticed that something is missing. What Governor Kotek asked for was an estimate for when the unrepresented crisis will end. What she got was a 12-month plan to work toward ending it. Sanchagrin did not really attempt to give an estimate, and that's not a big surprise for folks like Lowe, who are working this issue from the inside.
It is a lot of different factors that have kind of coalesced at the same time to cause this, whole situation to occur. And so it's kind of an unknown quantity. I just don't think that any individual or group is going to be able to say with any degree of certainty when it's going to end. But I do know that if we can get more people doing this work and caring about public defense and new attorneys into public defense in a way that they are supported and that they can make this a career and that it's worthwhile to them to do so, that's our best shot at resolving this problem and preventing it from reoccurring.
In Sanchagrin's plan, he notes that nearly all of his changes require a new contract with the public defense firms. The OPDC won't be able to roll that out until October, in part because of budget delays caused by Kotek appointing him in the first place. So really, not much is going to change until then, with the exception of the special resolution dockets we mentioned earlier. Hiring law students in cohorts, for example, won't really start to pay off until fall of next year, Sanchagrin says. So do we have an end date to this crisis? No. But what is clear is that if progress is not being made, the governor is not shy about shaking things up.